Islamic finance. Like I said, I brought a question as a revision to support this class because we just look at Islamic finance this evening, and then this Islamic finance is part of what we have done last week. It's part of what we have done last week on source of finance, source of finance, and then after that, we will now review the question together. Islamic finance, like it sound, it is guided by Islam religion, and then I want to believe we have some uh, Islam believers among us, which peradventure may even have more knowledge than I do on this topic because I'm just reading it for yes, me. I know it for class purpose. I want to read that somebody that is Alpha or Imam will have more knowledge of it than I do. But anyway, for the class purpose, we will review it together, then we discuss it together for this class purpose. Islam finance rests on application of Sharia law, and this Sharia law is guided by the Islamic book, which is Quran. It's guided by the Islamic books, which is referred to as Quran. And Quran is believed to be an holy book that is given by Prophet Muhammad. That is given by Prophet Muhammad, and this Quran guides the activities of the believers of believers in the Islam. And then like this Quran give so many teachings. This Quran gives so many teachings on various or diverse aspect of life, being moral life, marriage life, uh, uh, any aspect of life. Quran is give what a guided ways of living that believe that is a norms for all Muslims to follow. And in this Quran, which Sharia law is coined, then we develop a what? A finance that is guided by the Sharia law, that is guided by the Muslim beliefs, Islam believers. Then this principle of Islamic finance is that this Islamic finance has principles, and we have 5 principles here. One say wealth must be generated from legitimate trade and assets based on investment. It is believed that any areas that someone should generate or recreate wealth, such should be what? Such ways should be legitimate, should conform with Islamic beliefs. Such ways should not derail from what the Quran have stated. We have diverse ways of getting money these days, but Quran or Sharia law does not accept um or does not accept income that's generated from any illegal ways or ways that go against Islamic belief. When you are generating income, it's not about um I just want to acquire wealth. It's not about that. Like this Yoruba song they sang one time, kí n ṣáà ti lówó. It's not about if I have gotten the money, nothing else. No, Islam is not based on that. Even the money that you want to get, the sources of that money should be what? Should be legitimate and should conform with what? With Islamic ways. should conform with and should be guided by the Quran beliefs, by Quran belief. The use of money for the purpose of making money is expressly forbidden. You know, just imagine, it's one of the way. The use of money, the use of money for the purpose of making money is expressly forbidden. That is, you are making money, what you are transacting on is money, and den because you are making dat money, you are now charging interest on money. You know what happen during Emefiele's time, whereby pipu are using money to buy money just to get money. Is not allowed when it come to what? Islamic ways of belief. There are some business that is not even allowed in what? In Islamic ways of beliefs. When you are making money to do what? To get money, to get money. Investment should have a social and ethical beliefs to wider society beyond pure returns. Any investment should be what? Should be conform with the ethical beliefs of the religion and the society and social belief. Any investment that you want to go into should not derail from what? Social beliefs, should not derail from moral, from ethical beliefs of what? Of Islamic way. For example, let me just make an example in that I want to make an investment, and then and I put my investment on Bet Naija. Maybe I develop a app of, or like a Bet Naija or Sporty Bets, you know, to generate it's a business to some people to generate more money. But when it's come to finance, Islamic finance, such investment is not allowed. And then another example that I can give is that Islamists go against drinking to stupor, drinking anyhow. I don't know, maybe Islamics even support alcohol at all, but investing in such business that the um Islamist belief go against is what? Is totally prohibited. It's totally prohibited. Risk should be shared and harmful activities should be avoided. Risk should be shared. What it means that Islamic believe that even though we are making investment, the risk should be shared between the what? The investor and the investee. Should not be the whole investee that will carry the what? The risk. The risk should be shared. They believe in justice, in equity. Let there be equity, let there be they don't like injustice when it comes to business. Why would someone carry the burden of the risk while we are both going into the what? Into such transaction, into such investment? The risk that involve in such business should be what? Should be shared. Avoid of injustice, asymmetric risk and moral hazard. Islamic does not support any injustice, any form of injustice. So any ways of getting money, or any ways of spending your money anywhere that Islamic believers will put their money, or Islamic finance will put their money, should be what? Should be in an investment that conform with what? With Sharia law. Abundance of unfair enrichment at the expense of another party. I've explained this. You just want to get money, so I want to get money in the expense of another party. It's not what? It's not allowed. When you are increasing, and then the source of your income of getting money is hurting someone else, is hurting someone else. Islamic is not what? Does not support it. E.g. example is what? Is yahoo. You are doing yahoo and you are getting money, whereas the somebodies or someone that you duped will be what? Will be in pains, in agony. So such area of getting money, Islamics frown at it. These are the principles that guided am, and this Islamic finance, before now, is not gaining ground, but in this present age, it has been what? It has been gaining ground. The Islamic believers have been pushing it, and they are getting grant, even to the extent that now we have Islamic Bank, not only in Nigeria but all over the world. It is becoming relevant because the beliefs of this Islamic finance is based on what? Is based on justice, is based on fairness, is based on equity. So because of that, it's getting more what? More grant. It's getting more grant. So let's look at the activities that is prohibited. The activities are charging and receiving interest. They call it riba. Charging and receiving interest. Such activity is not allowed. It's not allowed. Charging and and receiving interest. Such activities is not what? It's not allowed. When you take bribe or when we charge interest, it's not allowed in Islam. It's not allowed in Islamic finance. It's not allowed. You know, normal in a normal world, when you have business, you charge for interest. For example, you may you may go to an institution, a lending house, to borrow money or this. Such lending institution or financial institution will do what? Will charge interest. We charge interest. And Islamic is saying no, 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 no. That shouldn't be. It's riba. Or I want to because you want to gain a favor, you are now doing what? You are now getting an interest. I could remember in my working place, we have zero interest cooperative. It is Islamic cooperative. So if we were borrowed money, they will not charge any interest. You are paying back the exact amount of money you borrowed with stipulated periods that they have what? We have agreed on. They will not charge any interest, unlike other cooperatives. When you borrowed, they charge 5%, 10% interest on the amount borrowed, then you repay. But when it comes to zero Islamic finance, when you borrow money, to be at what? At zero interest. Is zero interest. Nothing will be charged. They don't believe in interest. They don't believe in receiving interest. Using money to make money is forbidden. Like I said, activities you can, I can even give this example. This just came to my mind now. The POS service that people are rendering. Is it not fall under this category of using money to make money? Because you are giving people money and then you are charging on them. Islamic is finance frowned at it. Yes, sir. All right, but if what Islamic does is that what they are charging, they don't believe in interest, but they believe in doing business and make a gain. They believe in doing business and make that what? And make that gain. And that gain, when they are making it, you know, it must I don't want to agree with you that they make hidden charges. I don't want to agree with you. What they do is that even though they want to make that gain, that agreed amount of gains will have been what? Will have been stated, and it will not be based on the money given. It may be based on business transaction. You need something, you want to get it for something. So that thing that you want to get, maybe you need an item, and that an item that you want to get, and then you tell them this is also money you need and you want to get it, you want to use to get this particular thing. They can go ahead and get that thing for you and put a minimum of money as a profit on it, and which will be agreed and by both parties, and they will do what? They will be spread, and you will pay it. So they don't term it what? Interest. They don't collect interest. In fact, if you mention interest, they frown at it, they frown at it. I remember a friend, there was a time that I used to play Bet Naija during one time like that, and I had a friend that he's a Muslim. He's a Muslim. And that my friend then be complaining that ID, this one, that one, no, this is me, I'll be referring to, no, this is not gambling, this is this is, then my argument was based on, this is I'm taking risk. In every business you have to take risk. That what I'm doing is business, I'm taking risk. That life itself is a risk. If I take risk and the rules of the business says the higher the risk, the higher the return. Dat if I take higher risk and get higher return on it, so be it. And if I take higher risk and lower risk and get lower return on it, and if I make loss on it, so be it. So far dat in business there is always what? Gain and loss. There is always profit and loss. Dat was my base of argument den. You be very frown at me, no, 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 dis is gambling, is forbidden, is dis, is dat, you understand. So it depends on the angle that we people that are not believers in dis sharia law, the angle they will be looking at it may be differ from people that are what? They are core in dat that they believes. You will be looking at dis thing, it look like interest. No, but there is a tiny line between dis activities that segregate it from what? From interest. There is tiny line that segregate it from interest. Investment in company that have too much borrowing is also prohibited. Most company now these days they cannot survive without being what? Gearing. You have to be geared as a company. You have to have a what? A diluted source of finance, whereby you have your equity and then you have your what? Your debt finance. So, and you have to balance it. But the Islamic is saying that company that is borrowing is too much, they should not do what? Invest in such company, because now that too much borrowing now, it depends on what? On a judgement. But they are saying if borrowing is getting more than 33%, no, it should be what? It should be regarded as what? As too much borrowing in an investment. So if even though they want to go into investment, they will look at it, such investment, if their borrowing is much, they may not go. Islamic sharia law does not support it, or Islamic finance does not support it. Investment in business involve in alcohol, gambling, anything else that the sharia consider unlawful or undesirable, such investment should not be what? It should not be welcome. It's not welcome when it's come to Islamic finance. It's not welcome. Investment in gambling, alcohol, investment in any unlawful, for example now, if uh I don't know, I just want to make this example. If we someone invest on production of CD, I mean condom. Someone invest in production of CD or condom. I don't think it will be lawful when it comes to Islamic finance. As a believers of Islam, production of because wasting the semen may not be what? May not be allowed by Islam, and then in such they will go against us. Yes, no wonder, the wasting of this thing is will be prohibited now. is unlawful. So you can see the tiny line that is there. It is based on their beliefs. So all dis freelance be based on their what? On their beliefs. Investing in condom for where? Even though if you study and if you look at that side, north side, even in Nigeria, if you use Nigeria as a case study now, if you look at that north side, you know, product like condom, product like beers will not be what? Will not make much sales in that area compared to dis south and southeast side. You cannot compare the sales of all dis thing to the north side. I just It's not although dat statement is not a researchable statement, it's just a what? A mere statement I just believe, just my own statement in my own opinion sha. Okay. Investment in transaction that involves speculation of extreme risk, speculation dat is where dey categorize gambling. Speculation, when you are making speculation about something, you are predicting, like I don't know, maybe I don't think they will support forex when you are making prediction of what will happen. You understand? Prediction. Yeah, and it now depend on 50-50. Kind of, they see it as gambling. They see it as gambling, and it's not what? It's not allowed. It's not allowed when you are making speculation and then entering into contract where there is uncertainty about the subject matter and term on contract. This include a provision on short selling, selling something not yet own, something that is not your own, and you want to make business on it. No, you must sell something that is actually belongs to you. And then when you are entering into a contract that the subject matter is not certain, you don't even know what you are trading on. Like these are films that they used to advertise on television then. I don't know, maybe you will know it. Ilese Ajibade. People are just entering, they are entering in the morning and they will go in the evening. They don't know what they are doing in that company. But all they just know that they will resume in the morning and the evening they will leave. Nobody know what they are doing. Ilese Ajibade. So being transaction in such or entry contract in such arena is what is prohibited. So permitted activities: Islamic bank are allowed to obtain their earning through profit sharing investment. Profit sharing investment. So what look like interest in Islamic finance is actually what? Profit sharing investment. It's like it's just that look like interest is just what? Profit sharing investment. If a loan is given for business purpose, the lender should take part in the risk, not only the borrower now that will take all the burden. The lender also should take part in the risk. That is the belief. This usually involve the lender buying the asset and then allow a customer to use the asset for a fee. For a fee. So let's look at the types of Islamic finance. Types of Islamic finance. Number one is murabaha. Murabaha. Sorry for the to our Islamist brothers if I'm not pronouncing it the way I should pronounce it. Please pardon me. Murabaha. In traditional Western finance, a customer will borrow money from a bank in order to finance activities, says the purchase of an asset. However, under Sharia, the bank cannot charge interest. Muhabara is a form of trade credit for asset acquisition that avoid the payment of what? Interest. The bank buys the asset and then sell it to the what? Customer on a deferred basis at a price that include an agreed markup for profit. Can you see the difference now? When you go to bank, you want to get I want to get land. For example, I want to get land. The bank will do what? Will give you the money to go and get the land, and having give you the money, they will charge interest. So we are giving you this on 30%, 40% interest. Interest rate of our financial institution normally high. But when it's come to Murabaha, what Islamic finance will do is that they will look at the land. Okay, you need the land. Which area do you need that land? We need that land so area. They will share the risk by taking their money to go and get the land, secure the land. Having secured the land now, they will now hand it over to what? To the customer. And then the amount they secure the land, they now put profit margin, which will be agreed by the both parties. And the money will now be what? Spread in payment. Now if you look at this deeply, you be thinking, is this not the same thing as interest? No. When you look at Islamic finance, even the profit they will charge will be minimal. Sincerely, the what they will charge on that item for profit, you cannot compare it to any financial institution or to any banks that is doing normal banking system. What they will charge will be very very minimal. It's just they will just put what they know as as profit markup on it. What is the markup? Then the person will do what? Will pay it. The person will know how much they get it. Then the markup. Sometimes our zero interest cooperative they will sell rice. They will sell rice. And then we have different types of cooperative in our organization. But the rise of zero cooperative is always was cheaper compared to others, because the even though if they want to put profit sharing margin on that rice, it will be very 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 minimal compared to others. It's very very minimal. So people prefer to get things from what? From zero interest than any other place. They prefer to get things from there. So that is what we refer to as murabaha. Murabaha. Another aspect, another types is ijara. Ijara. A form of lease finance is a form of lease finance agreement where a bank buys an asset for a customer and then lease it to the customer over a specific period at an agreed rental, which allow the bank to recover the capital cost of the asset and a profit margin. When it comes to circular words, is an agreement whereby the lessee and lessor enter into what? Into an agreement, and then they will charge what? Interest, and then initial deposit with what? With and they will spread the installment. So it's the same thing when it comes to ijara. It's the same thing, but what's different is that that word interest is replaced with um with um profit margin. And in ijara, there is nothing called maybe you deposit. No, there is nothing called deposit. What they just do is, okay, you need this, they will get the machine. After getting the machine, they will now lease it to what? To the owner. It means that the customer now does not have right over that asset until he has paid the last installment of that money. That's ijara. It's the same thing as what? The lease finance when it's come to our normal circular banking sector. Another aspect that we need to look at is mudaraba. Mudaraba. The banks provide capital and the customer provide expertise to invest in a project. Profit generated are distributed according in a predetermined ratio but cannot be guaranteed. The bank does not participate in the management of the business. This is the bank providing equity finance. The project might make a loss. In this case, the bank losses out. The customer cannot be made to compensate the bank for its loss, as that would be contrary to the mutual sharing of risk. You know, this one is another mudaraba, is another form. Under murabaha, the bank now will get the land or will get the equipment to the customer and put foreign margin to that customer to pay. But under mudaraba, now this is a project now. What the bank, the Islamic bank will do is to provide what? The money, and then that money will be for a particular purpose, for a particular project, for a particular business, for a particular investment that has been agreed upon, and then the Islamic bank that is providing this money will not involve. It's not a matter of joint venture whereby they both run it. No, it will not involve. The customer will now run the business, and when the customer now making profit based on the agreed sharing ratio, they will now share the profit. So that if the project or the business still continue and the business is making profit, the bank will be getting his what? His share of profit. But when it make loss, they won't what? Share the loss. Not that because we have make loss now, the customer will now pay the bank back. No, they both share the loss. They will both be on their initial position. Alright, sir. Yes. Alright. Mudaraba, is a Islamic belief, and then somebody that will go into this type of transaction will also be a what? Yeah, a Islam. And then if such person uh is a Islam that believe in Quran and in Sharia law, there's one thing that is paramount. They have what? Integrity, and then what? They should be straightforward, truthfulness. Let me use that word. With truthfulness, um I'm opportune to transact business with some Muslim community, and then sincerely with my dealings with them, when it come to business, they are very very straightforward, truthful, they have integrity more than any other part. I'm not saying this. When you are doing business with them, one thing they will do is that they will not owe you money. And if you have a transaction that is okay, you are paying on so so date, just go and rest. To see a true Muslim that believe, is different from I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, that you don't have the you believe but you don't follow. But people that believe and practice it and followed it, when you deal with them, you will see that integrity in them. People that will go into such a transaction, a bank that will go into a such transaction religion, they could have carry out their findings. They could have known the customer that is share the same belief with them, and not only that, that person share the same belief, that person also what practice it. When you see somebody that practice it, that don't want haram, somebody that don't want to take somebody that belong to another person, something that this thing does not belong to me, I don't want it. These are the people that practice Islam. And when they do, and they are in charge of that business, once they make that profit, somebody that practice it will not take what does not belong to him or her, because I want to cheat this one. No, 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 they don't think that way. No, there are some things that when you look at it religious or religious way, or in sharia way, you see that is this one possible in this age? But um I can say categorically that it is possible. It's just a function of mindset. A function of mindset. You know, my brother travel to UK, and then he said something to me. He said he observed something in UK, that in that place is like they don't force them to do the right thing. That is the language. He said he has observed that they don't force them to do the right thing, that is like it has become a culture that they just have to do it, that they don't force them to do the they don't force them to do the right thing, that when it's come to the time for them to clock in, they clock in at that appropriate time. What they have to work, they work at that appropriate time. When they have to, that you observe that you don't force them to do right. That one is a mindset, it's a culture. So if people possess the same culture and practice, this thing will work out smoothly, because I know that something that does not belong to me, I don't claim it. And once it is my practice, it is my culture, something within me. So there won't be what? Difficult. It is not difficult for me to do. It's like in Christianity, they will say pay your tithe, pay your tithe 10%. People that really practice Christianity, they will pay it. Even though when you look at it in circular ways, it's very difficult. Sometimes I will look at it, how much am I giving to this, that I'm giving you are giving 10% to church, you are giving 10% to pastor. How much percent do you give to your parents? How much percent do you apply to your children when you are giving 10%? When we look at it in a circular way, it will not be acceptable. But when those people that are practicing it look at it in their religion ways, it is something that is they find doing, they were happy doing it. In fact, they cannot even cope without doing it. So when it's come to mudaraba is possible. It's just that it depends on what? Who's involved. Depends on who's involved. I want to be able to answer your question. The next one is musharaka. Musharaka. This is a joint venture or investment partnership between two parties who both provide capital towards the financing of a new or established project. Both parties share the profits on a pre-agreed or predetermined ratio, allowing managerial skills to be remunerated with losses being there. So musharaka is the same thing as what? Our partnership. It's the same thing as partnership. Two or more people, they do what? They form a party to finance an investment or a project, and then the remuneration, the terms of of the business, how to share the profit, how to share the loss, the ratio of who will receive salary, who will be remunerated, everything has been what? Have been predetermined, and they will run the business very fine. Musharaka. Musharaka is referring to as our what? Partnership. And then we have Mudaraba is a business whereby somebody provide the what? The capital, the equity for someone to run the business and they share the profit. While Ijara, Ijara is same thing as what? Lease finance, but just that this one don't take into interest into consideration. This one to take profit margin into consideration. And den the last one, which is Murabaha. 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 Murabaha is when they provide what? The investment to the customer and put profit margin for that customer to what? To pay on installment basis to share. The profit margin will have been agreed at what? At onset. Then we have sukuk. 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 you know um at this point, if you have Muslim brothers around, you can contribute to this lecture. If there is any area you think that we need to know more, you know you can contribute. We need your contribution. We have sukuk. Sukuk. In this debt finance, this is what? Debt finance. But Islamic bond cannot bear interest. Sukuk holder must have a what? Ownership interest in the asset which are being financed. They must have what? Ownership interest in the asset which they are being financed. The sukuk holder return for providing finance is a share of the income generated by the what? By the asset. Modern sukuk share many features with western securitization securities. And then there are many different types of sukuk, including in the normal um buying of shares. When you are buying shares and then and you make an investment into a company and you buy shares, and that shares you owns it. So that shares you be receiving dividend, so and when you are receiving dividend, you are part of the owner of the business. But when it comes to sukuk, sukuk is just like a bond, a certificate that will be given to somebody that do what? That owns that sukuk. And that sukuk that person will be holding, that certificate that person will be holding, will be what? Will be um will be receiving profit that sukuk generated. Will be receiving profit that sukuk do what? Generated. They are saying that it's a finance that the holder must have what? Have an ownership interest in that asset. So we have different type of sukuk. We have ijara sukuk, mudaraba sukuk, murabara sukuk, and musharaka sukuk. You see, dis sukuk show forms of all other what we have done. When we are saying ijara, we are talking about lease. So let's look at the type of the sukuk. Sukuk. Providing finance is a share of the income generated by the asset. Modern sukuk share many features with western securitization. Sukuk are sharia compliant bonds. Typically, sukuk are certificates that represent ownership of an asset or its use usefruct. Usefruct refer to all the benefits that the ownership of an asset will confer. We have usefruct. Den we have dis section explain type of sukuk arrangement in more details. There are different ways in which each type of sukuk might be structured. The detail of a structure might vary from those in the following explanation. It might be vary. So what you are saying is that when it comes to sukuk, it's like a bond certificate that the person that will hold it we have um a benefit of being what? Sharing the ownership of the what? Of the asset, sharing the ownership of the asset, and then all the benefit that we that is attributable to that asset e will also bring what? Will be beneficial to that so a sukuk can be referred to like all dis bond, government bond that we are getting. When you have a government bond that you have your certificate, and then at the end of the maturity you get a certain dis thing. But when it come to sukuk, it's like a share. You have that share, you have that ownership in that asset, and then anything that's generated as profit will be what? Will be given to you. So we have sukuk al-ijara. Sukuk al-ijara is also referred to as what? Ijara sukuk, Ijara sukuk or sukuk al-ijara, sukuk al-ijara, sukuk al-ijara. Dis is the sale and lease back transaction. Dis is the sale and lease back transaction. Suppose suppose business, dat is an example now. Suppose business A wish to raise finance. A sponsor say business A bank as the sponsor of A now will set up a what? A special purpose vehicle with the purpose of buying an asset of business A, which will be later what? Leased back to it at a pre-agreed price. So when you are looking at sukuk al-ijara, is a form of business that look like what? Lease back, lease sales and lease back business. You understand? So the bank that want to support the business will do what? Will buy all the assets of the business of A and lease it back. It's a form of lease back, sales and lease back. Sukuk al-ijara, sukuk al-ijara. We have mudaraba sukuk, mudaraba sukuk. Mudaraba sukuk or mudaraba. Business wey wish to raise finance for a major new construction project. The approach is to set up a SPV which will own the project and engage business wey to run it. A sponsor will set up a special purpose vehicle with the purpose of investing in the project. The SPV will issue ownership certificate to investor for cash. The amount raised will be the amount needed for to finance the project. Business B is contracted to run the project and will be entitled to a fee or share of profit. The completion of the project, the SPV transfer ownership of the asset to the what? To the customer. The fee received from the customer are used to pay business B's fees and to borrow and to provide distribution to the sukuk holder. What dis arrangement is saying is that mudaraba sukuk or sukuk all mudaraba. A business now want to raise a business, refinance for a major for construction. What we do is that we look for somebody that can do what? That can provide what? Finance to finance what? The business, and having done that, They also look for somebody that can do what? That can manage it, that can run it, that can run it based on what? Based on agreed terms. After that person have run the project, and den upon the completion of the project, and then the um agreed term will be settled to somebody that runs it, and then the profit sharing for the provider of the asset will be given, and then the person that the asset will now be transferred to the what? To the person that owns the business. The person that owns the business. So the next one here is murabaha sukuk. It's also called sukuk or murabaha. Murabaha sukuk, whereas business C wishes to raise finance to buy a large amount of an iron ore. A sponsor say business C bank will set up a SPV with the purpose of buying the what? The oil. The SPV will issue ownership certificate to investor for cash. The amount raised will be amount needed to buy the oil. The SPV buy the oil. The SPV then sell the oil to business C at what? At a profit. Business C pay the oil according to a pre-agreed schedule of payment, and these are passed on to the sukuk holder. Under murabaha sukuk, what is it that you want to raise fund? Sample C want to raise fund for a business. C will consult his bank, first bank, which will now raise what? An SPV just to get the finance, and after getting their finance they will buy that thing, they will buy it. The SPV will issue ownership certificate to investor, those that generate the cash. So the amount raised will be for the amount that you needed. You don't get more than what you needed. SPV buy the oil, and the SPV then sell the oil to what? To C. They now sell it to someone, to that person that need this thing, the oil initially. Then business C pay the oil according to what? Predetermined. You now be repaying them based on predetermined agreement. We need something, and then the bank now provide for it. They get that thing for you in business, form of business, and then they sell it back to you for you to run. Then you now be paying them instrumentally. That is murabaha sukuk or sukuk al murabaha. So we have, on the last note, we have musharaka sukuk. Musharaka sukuk. Business deal wish to raise business for a major new construction project. The approach is to set up a SPV which will enter into a joint venture with Business D. Business D will provide the expertise needed to run the project, and the sukuk holder. The joint venture will provide the finance. The sukuk holder participates in the management of the joint venture. The profit and loss of the joint venture share the business. This is like what? Joint venture business. You want to raise somebody, you raise money, and the person that raise the money joined the business to what? To execute the project, to execute the project. That is everything about Islamic finance. That is everything about Islamic finance. So as a recap, let's recap it. As a recap, we have discussed our principle of Islamic. It is based on what? It's based on ethics, based on what? Justice, based on it is based on anything that is legal. Anything that is not legal, it is based on the social and moral value. Based on the social and moral value. Anything that does not conform with the societal value, no, we don't support it. Then we look at the activities whereby we say interest, riba, charging interest and receiving interest. They're forbidding it. Using money to get money is forbidden, and so on. Then we look at the murabaha. Murabaha, it provides finance. Murabaha provide what? That finance, and put what? A profit margin for the person to do what? To pay. We have ijara, whereby we have lease arrangement. We have lease arrangement, ijabara. Then we have um we have mudaraba. Mudaraba. So this one is providing the money, and then you give it for somebody to manage, and then after that person manage it, you share the profit. Musharaka is saying joint venture, it's like a joint venture arrangement. Then we have sukuk, and sukuk also have ijara sukuk, mudaraba sukuk, murabara sukuk, and musharaka sukuk. So on that note, I've concluded what? I've concluded Islamic finance. Do you have any question? Any question? Any question? So let's look at this question together. His question said on SFM, November 2023, question 6. Question 6. And it takes 15 marks. And something that we have done before. It will be a discussion question, not that I will read this one. It will be a discussion question, please. So I will need your contribution. So I will need your contribution in this. So what is the question? It says state and explain a sample of conflict of interest that may exist between shareholders and managers. State and explain a sample of conflict of interest and be as specific, explain the likely implication for a typical company of lower interest rates. I need your contribution. You can contribute. Any contribution? I want us to contribute to, because we have done this aspect before. All right. All right. Yeah, let's discuss the question. Explain. And the question is asking, what are the things that can cause what? Conflict of interest between the managers and shareholders. Between the managers and shareholders. What are likely things that have to cause what? Conflict of interest. Please mute your mic oh, you are disturbing the class. Sanusi, Fatima, Adeolu, Bosede, Akinbola, Amodu. Let's contribute now. Okay, if you fail to contribute, let me just explain it. Are we together? Alright. So the first thing, according to the solution is stated there. I just want us to, something that you make contributions of, it's very difficult for you to forget when you see. That is why I'm just saying we should make contribution, because the solution is already there. We have executive compensation. Executive compensation can cause what? Can cause conflict of interest. Manager might be motivated to increase their own compensation through what? Bonuses, stock option, other incentive, even if it does not align with what? Long term interest of the what? Shareholder. Dis can lead to a what? Misalignment of interest between shareholders and managers. Do you understand dis one? Executive compensation. When managers need higher pay, they need better remuneration, they need better allowances, and den um the company, the shareholders, they want to increase their profitability, and if company, the managers now want what? They want higher pay, dat is higher expenses. It will cost the company more to settle the what? The executives, and by doing dat it will reduce the what? The profit of the company. So executive compensation is one of what we can think of. Risk taking. Manager may be tempted to take excessive risk to boost short term profit and enhance their reputation, while shareholder may prioritize long term stability and stable growth. Such risk taking can expose shareholders to po ten tial losses. When the managers, especially in a situation whereby managers is remunerated or is compensated based on what? Based on their performance. The manager will take higher risk so that they can do what? It can assume that they are performing well at the short time. They can take a short time decisions, short time risk that will make them to perform well, on a particular period, so that they will it will look, their report, their performance will look robust in a short while. But that is not the goal of shareholder that want to do what? That want to maximize wealth. That is not the goal of shareholder that want to maximize wealth. In such cases now, shareholders that wanted to maximize wealth want a stability. It's like um um a family man, that is thinking how to that is planning how to get a stable place, a comfortable house, a comfort for the family, and then at the same time the family is looking at the living in around a urbanized area. you know a man is thinking that let me build a house for these people, so that at the long run we will be there and then we will look comfortable. But the wife is saying no, me I cannot go into such local area, I want to stay in urban area. you know their thinking is differ. Because their thinking is differ now, they cannot agree. So there is conflict of interest. Wife want to stay in urban area while husband is looking at, let me get a comfortable place. Even though wife does not care, even if that urban area is not comfortable for them, so far dat e cannot go into and live in a local area. So the same thing happening. The manager now that want to, the shareholder need what? Stability, but the manager, because maybe he is being paid based on what? Based on his performance. He want to show off that he is performing well. So and to do everything within a short time activities to make sure that the company look well in short time, um in short time term, in short term. Den another thing that can cause is what? Dividend policy. Manager might, do you have somebody that can explain dis dividend policy to us? Manager might prefer to retain earning for expansion or personal benefit, whereas shareholder may prefer higher dividend to maximize returns on their investment. Who can explain dis dividend policy to us? Our next topics may base on dividend policy, so let somebody explain dis dividend policy to us. Are you there? Dividend policy is very straightforward. Manager might, okay, I'm lis ten ing. Alright, thank you so much for dat contribution. But the area we should focus on, what go cause conflict on dis policy. Who are responsible for the day to day and management of the business? The share the board of director abi the executive, the managers. And den they are the one that will take decision about the business. They will not take dat decision to the shareholder to rectify during their what? Maybe during AGM or during special meeting for resolution. So if peradventure the managers want to have personal thing for them to what? When they know that when they one manager might prefer to retain earnings for expansion, for personal benefit. Manager may be thinking, okay, dis dividend that we are giving to our shareholder, let us put it back into what? Into the business, so that the business can do what? Can expand. Manager is thinking about what? Economic growth of the business, whereas some shareholders, which are what? Or majority of the shareholder may be someone that believe on, let me get it now. You understand? They want dis thing, the dividend now. They don't want that higher level of that dividend to go back into what? Into that business. If the shareholders are on that motive, that what they want is that they want their what? They want to they want to get the return on their investment now. They will prefer to have what? To have dividend now, rather than to grow the business. And the manager may have an in ten tion of growing the business, or the manager may have an in ten tion to if it is for personal benefit, maybe another personal benefit that management may want for dis thing to return is that maybe um the activities of the company, they have window dress and then although they are declaring higher profit and that profit is artificial. So in such case they may decide that okay, let us assume that we put in this profit, we return it back into what? Into the business, and in such case it is may cause what? Conflict of interest, because the shareholder wants the money now, the manager wants what? The money to be retained. So that is the aspect we are looking at. How can they have different angle, different look into it? That is that. Thanks so much for your contribution, I really appreciate it. Mergers and acquisition. Manager may pursue acquisition that benefit their personal interest, such as increased power or job security, even if they are not in the best interest of shareholders of the company's overall performance. That is it. Companies, they just want to get so that they will have job security. You know, when a company want to acquire another company, there are certain things that they will look at, you know, to acquire such to take over such company or to acquire such company. So if all these parameters that they are supposed to look, the factors they are supposed to look, such as, is this company performing well? Is the asset of this company, are they growing? What are the profit percentage? What are the goodwill of the business we want to acquire? Does this business that I want to acquire, does it have goodwill also? So many questions to throw in, and then the managers, because their own in ten tion is that they want to expand, so that instead for them to have organic growth, they want to acquire that growth now, so that people that company is very big, whereas they don't want to go through organic growth. So they want to make sure that they want to have job security. You know, when business look big, you know, they have more job security, they have more power to themselves. So that is what they want to enjoy. They can go ahead and merge and propose to merge with to go for merger and acquisition of such company, whereas the shareholder, that may not be their what? That may not be their in ten tion even to acquire. That may not be their purpose. The shareholder may have another ways entirely. Maybe the shareholder now may not want that acquisition of such company. The shareholder may be thinking, okay, instead of acquiring or taking over company, let us have organic growth. And the managers are saying, for us to have organic growth, it will take time, and our competitors, they are doing this and this, you know, they know how to package in such a way that it will favour them. So they can have interest um conflict of interest based on what? Merger and acquisition. They can also have conflict of interest based on related party transaction. Related party, this one is even glaring. Manager will engage in transaction with company that have personal interest in, leading to po ten tial conflict between their personal gain and the what? Company financial well-being. You know, conflict of interest, believe that it is generally believed that when you are a company is having transaction with what? Related party transaction, that such transaction are not in what? In arm length, and not is not in not at what? At arm's length. And if the transaction is not at arm's length, it can cause what? Financial derail. It can cause financial derail. It can make the company to lose some what? Some finance. So information asymmetry. Manager have access to more information than what? Than shareholders, because they are the custodians of information, and they take decision based on what? Based on the information they have. Whereas the shareholders that want to take that want to rectify such decision does not have what? The full decision. So if management now, if they withhold some information, they hold on unto some information for their own advantage, for the shareholders to take a what? A wrong decision. I could remember we went for one of our cooperative AGM, and then the executive just came on board that, oh, because of so X, Y and Z. There is need for us to increase our interest rate because the majority of people that have shares in our cooperative now, that have larger shares in our cooperative, they have retired, and because they have retired now, so we don't have more cash base in our cooperative, and for us to sustain this cooperative we need to increase our what, um our interest, not knowing that all these things were just cook just to derail us, just to make us that we increase our what, our interest, because that interest will not favour the what, the cooperators. Increase of interest will not favour the cooperators, it's only the what, the executives. That is what we are saying when it's come to what, when it's come to information asymmetries. They know more than shareholders, so they can withhold some information just for the shareholder to take another decision that will favour them. Time horizon: manager might prioritize short term results to boost their personal metrics, while shareholders might be interested in the company long term growth and sustainability. Time horizon: managers are working on short time, while shareholders prefer what, long time. Corporate governance is another point. Governance: manager may resist changes that improve corporate governance or provide more shareholders rights to retain their power and control over what, over the company. Managers may insist what, changes that improve corporate governance, like audit committee, all dis thing dat the changes that will improve corporate governance, management may resist it because such corporate governance may take some power away from them. So in doing that, they may resist it, whereas the company as a whole may want what, an adequate corporate governance in place to secure their trust in what, in the business. Resource allocation: insider trading, manager with access to sensitive information may use it for personal gain. They can use that information because they have insider trading, they have access to that information, they can use it for what, for personal gain, which can be what, personal gain, which is what, unethical and illegal. Insider trading, so it's another this thing that can cause conflict of interest between the shareholder and the interest. On a form of recap, we have executive compensation, risk taking, dividend policies. We have mergers and acquisition, related party transaction, information asymmetry, time horizon, corporate governance, resources allocation, insider trading. So now let's look at the B aspect now. The B aspect: explain the likely implication for a typical company of lower interest rate. For a typical company of lower interest rate. To mitigate dis conflict of interest, it is essential to have robust corporate independent board oversight and transparency reporting to. The implication of a fall in interest rate for a typical company are: one, the cost of floating rate borrowing will fall, making it more attractive than fixed borrowing For most company with borrowing, interest charges will be reduced, resulting in higher profitability and earnings per share. So the implication of fall in interest rate: when the interest rate is fall, it means that there is volatility in what, in the interest rate, and when there is volatility in it will make, when it now go down, it will make it more attractive to fix than to do what, than to borrow. You can fix to make it more attractive than fixed rate borrowing. So for most company with borrowing, interest charge will be reduced then resulting in what? Higher profitability. When the interest is low, the rate that you charge on their interest is low, and then when the amount you charge is low, what will happen? The amount you get as interest that you charge against your profit as interest will be also be what? Will be low, and it will result in what? In your profit increase. It will result in profit increase as if the company is what? Is performing well because of interest. Interest finance charge is charged from what? From profit, but when that finance charge is low, it will make your profits to increase. That is what that place is saying. That is the implication of having what? Low. The value of the company share will rise, both because of the higher level of company profitability, and also because of the lower alternative return that investor will earn from bank and deposit. If interest rates are expected to remain low in a longer term, that is only if it will remain low. If it does not volatile, it go move. If it does not move on a regular basis, if it remain low for a while, it will increase what? The value of the company. It will increase the value of the company. How? It will reduce the value of company because the company will be earning what? It will be making higher profit. And if the company is making better profit, the company is making better profits and declaring better profits, the value of the company will increase. The value of the company will increase. The higher share value will result in a lower cost of equity capital, and hence a lower overall cost of capital for the company. Investment money that were previously rejected may now become available. If it is 4 and then the company want to get cost, they want to borrow from outside now, the interest low, the cost of capital will do what? Will reduce. The cost of debt will reduce. The cost of preference share will reduce. The cost of equity will reduce. By doing that, it will reduce what? The WACC. And if the cost of debt is reduced, it will reduce your WACC. And if your WACC is reduced, it will increase your what? Your value. So you can even go into some business that you think is not viable before. There are some business that when the cost of capital is high, they may not be viable. They may not be viable, but because of the low cost of capital, you can now go into such business. You can give room for such opportunity. And interest rate fall, customer have more disposable income. This may increase demand for the company's products. When it fall, customer can do what? Can have more money with them. They can have more money with them. And when they have more money with them, they will demand for more products. And then it will make sales to also increase. That is that on that question. And that question is 15 marks. So it's likely past question. It's question 6. So on this note, can call it a day. Do you have question? Do you have question? All right. Yes, yes, you can have it. I will send it. You're welcome.